If you're catching us live, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be tuning in. If you're catching us on our YouTube channel, thanks for dropping in. If you like what you see and you've seen some other Athearn videos, do me a favor, do us a favor, like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you know every time a new video like Train Tuesday drops into our channel. So great to have you on board here tonight. Let's do some quick shout outs and then get right to it. I see Mr. Chessie is here. David Reynolds is here. Robert, Sid, Delta 9, Stephen, DG Model Works is in the house. Dan is in here. Donnie, Luis, and Ian. And I do believe I just saw a Ray Arnott sighting as well. So welcome once again to Train Tuesday. We have something for everyone tonight. We have HO scale and N scale guys. Yes, we hear you. We do have some N scale to show you tonight. We're going to have some stuff for transition modelers, and we're going to have some things for guys that are modeling an N scale anywhere between the 1960s on up into the 90s. So with that, let's get started and do one more round of shout outs. I want to say hello tonight to Anthony and Ted and Delta 9, Terry, Brody, just to name a few. We've got about 92 on board, so stick around. If we have time, we'll answer some questions that you may have. But let's get started with some model railroad goodness, and let's start with the Athearn HO 4-bay offset hoppers. Now, briefly, the development of hopper cars went along with the development of automated handling of such commodities, with automated loading and unloading facilities. Open hopper cars are used for commodities such as coal, which can suffer exposure with less detrimental effects. Hopper cars have been used by railways worldwide whenever automated cargo handling has been desired, and that's pretty much what we see here tonight. These 4-bay offset hoppers pretty much used for coal, and these are pretty much in the transition era. So if you're modeling late steam, early diesel, you're going to want to check these out. We've got some in the 1950s era, so kind of the gray area of the transition. Certainly a little bit more diesel presence depending on what railroad you model. But if you're modeling the 50s and 60s, you're going to want to pay attention to what we're going to be offering tonight. Now, everything that I do show you here tonight is available for pre-order through your Athearn dealer. You have until Friday, November 24th to make those pre-orders. So let's get started. Coming up first, we've got the Santa Fe. This is a 1950 on up paint scheme. Now we're going to be offering these as a one single car, and the single car that you see is 181080. But we're also going to be offering these in 4-packs. Now there's going to be 2 separate 4-packs. We have had questions on our social media, are they going to be duplicate road numbers? And the answer to that is no. And to prove that, I'm going to tell you what is available in both 4-packs. Starting with the Santa Fe, road numbers in 4-pack number 1 will include 181089, 181112, 181135, and 181152. Now, the second 4-pack will include additional 4 cars for the Santa Fe, and their road numbers will be 181093, 181146, 181167, and 181183. Fans on the other side of the coast are going to want to pick up the Baltimore and Ohio as seen here. This is a 1947 on up car. It is going to be also offered as a single and a 4-pack. Here, the single car is road number 432375. 4-pack number 1 will include car numbers 432521, 432683, 432957, and 433389. 4-pack number 2 will include road numbers 432445, 432612, 433078, and 434366. Now, for our friends north of the border of the United States, we do have some Canadian prototypes here for you. We're going to start with the Canadian National. This is a 1962 on era car. This car here is the single It is car number 330100. It too will have two 4-packs. The first 4-pack will include card numbers 330116, 330133, 330152, and 330177. Now, pack number 2 will also include 4 different cars. Also, no duplicates here. Road numbers will include 330102, 330124, 330149, and 330161. Canadian Pacific, we haven't forgotten you. 1963 era on up. This is car number 365245. This is the single that we're offering in this run. It too will have two 4-packs. 4-pack number 1 will include car numbers 365252, 365271, 365288, 365299. And 4-pack number 2 will include road numbers 365250, 365266, 365274, and 365292. Now, friends of the Midwest, you're going to want to take note here. We've got some roads that you may specifically have been asking for thanks to our Athearn product suggestion email. Coming up first, we got the main line of the Midwest. This is the Green Diamond era of the Illinois Central. This is mid-1960s. This is car number 75422. Two 4-packs for the Illinois Central. 4-pack number 1 will include road numbers 75300, 75681, 75840, 75999. 4-pack number 2 will include road numbers 76033, 76392, 76675, and 76878. Now, Milwaukee Road is represented here as well. This road is going to feature a paint scheme that was common from 1965 on up. This is Milwaukee Road number 85000. This is the single for the set. Likewise, this is going to have two 4-packs. 4-pack number 1 will include road numbers 85145, 85366, 85519, and 85792. The 4-pack number 2 will include road numbers 85286, 85451, 85673, and 85827. And then last but not least, you've asked for it, and we will deliver once again. And this has been true with pretty much all of the freight cars that we introduce, whether they be an HO or N scale, predominantly HO, and whether it be Athearn or Athearn Genesis. We're going to offer a data-only car. It's just the one car, obviously. It's as you see here. That way you can create your own for your own fleet. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, these look just like the old Blue Box models. And you wouldn't be wrong. These are based on the Blue Box models. But however, if we were to take the features of these models, compare them to the Blue Box models of 20 years ago, you would see some serious differences, mainly in the upgrades. The upgrades you had to get were not standard with the Blue Box model. They are standard here. Let's talk about some of those features. The first feature is they're going to have removable loads. The old Blue Box kits, they didn't have loads at all. These also will feature the McHenry operating scale knuckle couplers. These will have factory applied wire grab irons, stirrup steps, end braces, and brake platform. The old ones didn't have that. These will also have nice metal wheel sets. They will have the RP25 contours. Blue Box, you had to upgrade to those. These will also have a separately applied brake gear, including the brake wheel housing, the air reservoir, brake cylinder, triple valve, and train line with supports and roping eye. Of course, these are going to be weighted for the optimum performance. And if you're wondering what the minimum radius is on these, wonder no more. The minimum radius on these is 18 inches. Now, these are going to sell MSRP. Keep in mind, this is MSRP. Individual cars are $34.99. The 4-packs are $123.99. Now, talk to your dealer to get your price. But again, this is full MSRP. That's how we do things. We work through a dealer network. So don't get sticker shock. Just talk to your dealer for your price. So there you have it. You have until Friday, November 24th. If you're in the States, that's the day after the big feast. So be sure to talk to your dealer. If you're into transition era cars, you're probably going to want to pick up all of these for your particular road. All right, let's see what we've got for comments before going on to our next item for the month. And let's see what we've got. I'm going to go back to see if there's any questions on these. A couple of guys are happy about the Illinois Central. Yes. Let's see what else we've got. No real questions. Yes, this one is live tonight. Keep in mind, we're going to try to do live for the rest of the year. Going into 2024, we're changing formats a little bit. Train Tuesday will just drop in automatically. We will, however, be trying to amp up the Athearn Extra, which will be a live participation show. All right. I'm going to go down to see if there's any questions while I was looking. Looks like most people are talking amongst themselves and seem to be pretty happy with what we're offering. Jason's got a funny comment. I'll get one of the data only for my railroad of lies. I like that. All right. Well, let's go on to our next item. Now, normally when I bring something on, I try to get a picture of the last release. Now, it's funny, we had a comment last week. Somebody was rather grumpy, saying that they were really upset that we showed a model that's no longer in production and no longer available. And why are we showing models that are no longer in production or no longer available? Well, as you know, Athearn and a lot of manufacturers have gone on to the pre-ordering system, which has been around for a couple of decades now, so it's not exactly new. And there are many people, even now, that are coming into the hobby and may not be familiar with the particular release that we're talking about. So while our artists do a great job of showing these renderings of what we're going to be offering, it's also nice for us to show you a production sample, even if it's from a previous run, just to give you guys an idea of what that model looks like before you lay down your hard-earned money. Now, I don't have a picture of these from the last release, but N-Scale guys, stick around because I do have a treat for you, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But here we've got, and this is, like I said, this is for you N-Scale guys. We hear you out there in social media. You're very vocal. We are offering some N-Scale for you this month. We're going to be offering the Athearn N-Scale 53-foot GSC flat car with bulkheads. Now, these are great models if you are modeling, say, a lumber facility on your layout, or if you're just one of the guys that likes to be active in one of the many modular clubs out there, say T-Track, Fremo, or N-Track. These are great cars to pick up. We're going to be offering 2 road numbers per road as seen here. We're going to start out in 1985 with Norfolk Southern. This is car number 113966. On top of this one, we're also going to offer a Norfolk Southern car, which is car number 113972. Again, Norfolk Southern, 1985. And then just below it, Great Northern. This is a 1968 era car. This is car number 160014. Additionally, we will offer car number 160033. So you can add as many of these as you'd like without having to worry about duplication of road numbers. Coming up next, in the heart of the country, we've got the CB&Q. Now, the CB&Q, this is a 1967 on up era car, so keep in mind that you can still run this in the Burlington Northern era if you like. A lot of these cars didn't get repainted overnight, so definitely we can run these into the 70s. This is car number 95208, and we're also going to offer car number 95229. Now, right underneath it, we've got Missouri Pacific. Going back a little bit, 1959 on up. This is car number 823228. Additionally, we will offer car number 823231. And we're not done. We've got one more bulkhead flat car to show you, as well as a couple of flat cars. So first we got the Frisco. This is 1964 on up. This is car number 5663. We're also going to offer car number 5669. And then jumping ahead a little bit, and without the bulkheads, just the standard flats, we've got the trailer train. Now this is yellow. It's that mustard yellow, so we know this is a 1973 on up car. This is car number 110084. Additionally, we will offer car number 110087. And then going to the 90s, we've got the Burlington Northern Santa Fe car. This is car number 576684. Additionally, we will offer car number 576687. Now, small as these cars are, they've got a lot of features, and some of those features include a separately applied brake wheel, body-mounted McHenry couplers. Now, remember, it wasn't that long ago that a lot of N-scale companies had the Talgo style couplers on their trucks. While the very functional, somewhat toy-like N-scale has matured over the years, and Athearn was one of the first ones to bring you body-mounted in N-scale. So of course, these are going to be body-mounted couplers. They are also going to feature screw-mounted trucks. That gives them much more accurate tracking. That does make them somewhat adjustable too. Rather than just a plastic pin that's a friction fit, these actually have screws in them. And trust me, that's a little bit easier to set up than fighting with those little plastic pins. These will feature either a 50-ton Bettendorf or a 70-ton roller bearing truck. They will have 33-inch wheels per the prototype, and those are metal wheel sets. So you don't have to upgrade to metal. These come standard with metal ready to go. They will operate on code 55 and code 80 rail. That's the most standardized rail heights in the N-scale industry. They will, however, function just fine on, say, microengineering code 40. They're weighted, of course, from the factory for optimal performance. And one nice thing, maybe you're somebody that's into, say, N-Track or Fremo N or even T-Track. These come in a nice jewel box. That way they're easy to store and take to the runs. You can take them to your operating sessions if your club is into that. And the nice thing about these tiny, tiny little cars, they actually have razor sharp painting and printing. So they're really phenomenal. And then the minimum radius on these is 9 3/4. So even the smallest T-Track modules can benefit with these cars. Now the MSRP on these cars is $31.99. Again, talk to your dealer for your price. Now I've talked a lot about the features, but really what I want you to do to kind of get an idea what these guys really look like is take a look at Steve's trains. Now, we released these a couple of years ago, and Steve did a review on these. These are very much the same car, different road names and road numbers. But take a look at his video. If you're an N-scale enthusiast, this will give you an idea of just how detailed these little cars are. You can see there that the printing on these is absolutely phenomenal. With magnification, a lot of that is readable, which is just amazing to me in N-scale. Not only does Steve do a great job of reviewing these models and showing out the finer details as seen here, but he's got a really great how-to towards the middle of the video showing you how you can cost effectively make your own lumber loads very easily and very economically. And hey, in these times, who is not happy to hear about a way of doing something economically? So give it a check out. Go to Steve's Trains. If you're an N-scale guy and you've not heard of Steve, you want to check out his channel. He's got a lot of great videos on N-scale. So like I said, go ahead and check him out after the show. That's Steve's Trains. And this video here is on the 53-foot bulkhead flats in N-scale. So there you have it. Those two items you have until Friday, November 24th to place your pre-orders, and that's coming right up. It's hard to believe it, but that's going to be next week. So there you have it. A couple of great items this week. At this point, we're going to go ahead and open the floor a little bit for questions. We've got some time, so go ahead and put your questions out there now. I'm looking at some of the comments for the N-Scale cars, and a lot of folks are really happy about these. Yeah. These are nice cars. They're great. Now, these are Athearn, so they've got some great details to them, and they hold up really well. I can say from personal experience, I have an N-Track module. I don't get the N-Track module out as much as I'd like to, but they're perfect for when I take my N-Track module out on the road. KCG, thank you. Yeah, they really are sharp looking. They've got really nice painting and printing on them. All right. Jake here wants to know, will Train Friday be on Black Friday after Turkey Day? Yes, I will not be with you because I will be recovering from said Turkey Day. However, we will have a new format for you. You'll see more details about it next week, but we're going to be doing the new announcements video a little bit differently for you guys. Joel, I'm starting to think you've got a unhealthy addiction to circus peanuts. DG says those N-Scale flats look sweet. Yeah, they really do. It's amazing how N-Scale has changed over the last 20 years. I got into N-Scale in the early 90s, and just in that time, the amount of detail on our cars and locomotives have gotten so much better. Sid, I see you out there. You're wanting to know when the tunnel motors are going to be on. This guy has been asking me pretty much nonstop for a little bit, and I understand. I am just as impatient. No, Sid, I'm worse than you. I'm probably more impatient than anybody on Train Tuesday. When is something coming in? Well, I've got some good news, Sid. I did find out today that our photographer said that we have some samples coming in. So it looks like next week. I don't know when next week. Next week, I'm going to be in Athearn's main office in Champaign, Illinois. And I'll be working with a photographer, and we'll be getting some pictures. So with any luck, your tunnel motors will be in that mix, and we can get some pictures up there. And man, the timing's going to be perfect because everybody's getting ready to do some model railroading, and hopefully Sid will have his tunnel motors soon. Let's see what other questions we've got out there. Let's see. Joel's got a rumor. He wants to know, is it true SW1001's coming? Well, product development hasn't told me anything. So if I knew something, I might sneak it out, but I don't know of anything right now. Nothing in the immediate future, but I do know this. That is one locomotive that we hear a lot of requests on social media, on our Athearn product suggestion emails. So don't worry, we hear you. We definitely hear you. I think mainly it's a matter of getting projects done. Let's see. Jason wants to know, will the LED bulbs be okay to use on my GP40-2? My regular bulbs went out on my GM50. What you need to do is contact our Athearn product support, and they can actually set you up. I believe there is a refit kit that we have on those, so you can add those LEDs to your locomotives. Typically, there has to be a slight drop down in voltage, but Athearn's got a way to figure that out. So go to our website, go to our contact us, and get in touch with a product technician. They'd be more than happy to walk you through that. You can send them an email, and they can get you the part numbers that you can order through your dealer. And hopefully, once we get some things worked out on our website going into 2024, we can add some videos like that on how to do it yourself. Let's see. Will there be any more cranes? I don't know of any that are going to be announced right away. Brian, I'm going to put you up there. He says, tell Janik SP guys won't rest until we get a DD35B. I've heard that, and Janik knows that. Trust me. Let's see what other questions we have. Here's a question. Hi, Jim. Any news on the HO Modern Yard Tractors release? Well, let's see if I can take a look into that here real quick. And I might have a date for you. Now, keep in mind, anything that I give you is a rough ETA because right now everything's kind of in flux. It looks like if things align the way that we hope they will, we're looking at very early 2024. So you're looking somewhere at about the February, March era. We should start seeing those come in. Let's see what else we've got. Any undecked models you can offer? Well, nothing in this run specifically in this broadcast, but don't worry, we've actually offered some undecked locomotives in the past year. And I have a feeling that before the year's over, you're going to see some more undecked locomotives. So keep an eye out for that. JD Boyd wants to know, when do we hear more about the RX 500, especially if a capacitor fits in there? Well, there's a couple of things that you need to know, JD. One of the things I can tell you is we have been hard at work on that. Of course, one of the biggest things is getting the drawings to the factory. There's a lot of back and forth between our product developer, in this case, John, and our factory. And all of that going back and forth before any molds are cut. But progress on that is doing really well. Expect to see an announcement on that probably early next year. We'll see how time is to John. I know he's got a lot on his plate. And the good news is that is actually going to come with a capacitor. He's already designed it so that it comes with a capacitor, so you don't have to worry about that. With such a small wheelbase of a locomotive, he has figured out a way to engineer that in there. So one less thing to worry about. Here's a good question from Dan. Dan wants to know, Jim, is Athearn planning to make some new models builds from scratch, like Elco or MLW, or let that to other builders? So good question. And what he basically means from that is a lot of the models that we come out with every month we've had before, say the Athearn GP50s. Now, the Athearn GP50s, since the last time we ran them, we have upgraded them so that DCC ready ones have factory sound speakers already installed. And this is the first time that they've had either ditch lights or beacons based on the prototype. They didn't have that the first time. So while we'll take a model that's existing and we'll sometimes upgrade it, he wants to know, is there something that's all new, something like the SD70 ACU or the AC4400? I can tell you that going into 2024, yeah, we've got some new stuff that we've been keeping under our hats. We do have some new products coming in that are from scratch. I'm really looking forward to them. And no, they're not modern six axles. I'll tell you that much. There is some new stuff that we've got working on. Can't tell you what it is yet. Maybe by Amherst, maybe we'll have some news for you. But again, I can tell you that John and Janik have been extremely busy with so many existing products, not just making them better, but also coming up with new stuff. Got time for one or two questions, and then we are probably going to let you guys get back to it. Someone, I'm going to grab this one here. John says, I see Chessie in the background. Did anybody else notice what's here? Surprised nobody said anything about that. Something that you guys, a lot of you guys have been waiting for. Maybe because of the dark paint, it's hard to see. It is a little locomotive. Dan, you are quite welcome. That's why we're here, and thank you for your question. I see some questions about some models being upgraded to Genesis and some models going to be done in Genesis. So let's address the first question. Maybe you will take, for example, the SD40-2s. A lot of people asking, hey, will these ever be upgraded to Genesis? Now, on the surface, it may look easy to take an Athearn locomotive, add a few prototype details to it, and upgrade it to Genesis. Now, typically, an Athearn locomotive is going to have some detail, but it's going to be specific to the road in which it was delivered to. So, if it's Burlington Northern, it's going to have Burlington Northern details for its era. Also, it's going to have the option of being DCC ready, or it's going to include an economy from Soundtracks. Now, right away, when we jump to Genesis, we not only get to railroad specific items, but we go to the prototype's number as far as details, because as you know, throughout the years, locomotives change. Antenna arrays come and go, bells gets changed out, things of that nature. Genesis really concentrates on those minute details. Also, you get upgraded from the Economy by Soundtracks to the Tsunami. So on the surface, it may look easy to take a SD40-2 that's formerly in the Athearn line and bring it up to Genesis by putting a few details on it and a different decoder. But it's actually much, much more than that. A lot of the things that go into upgrading a model from an Athearn to a Genesis requires a lot of other things that we have to think about, one of which is the drivetrain. Now, Genesis motors are different from most Athearn motors. The drivetrain is also something that we usually change. Also, something else to keep in mind, just because of the nature of the Genesis shells, depending on how the layout of the long hood is, depending on where details are, that can also dictate where the drivetrain is going to be. A good example of that is some of the tunnel motors. Early ready to roll SD40T-2s, you could actually see the drive line through the radiator grills. Well, now that's gone. Now, if those were to be upgraded to Genesis, we would have to change some few things because we're going to upgrade the motor and we're also going to upgrade the drivetrain. Also, another thing too is just the shell itself is going to be upgraded because, as I was saying earlier, a lot of those locomotives, when they were originally delivered to their original owners, as time went on, those locomotives got modified. So sometimes cabs get modified, sometimes window arrangements get modified, noses get modified. There's all kinds of different things, and Genesis really shines there. In order for those models to be upgraded to Genesis, the product developer has to think about all the different variations in the nose, the cab, the window configurations, and so on. So those have to be brought into account. And then, of course, we also want to make sure that all the details of the different versions of the 40-2s are available. And that takes a lot of research time, and it also takes a lot of time and perhaps new tooling. So on the surface, it seems pretty simple, but it really requires a lot of research and a lot of time investment. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to say, no, that will never be a Genesis model. I'm just kind of giving you a behind the scenes of how that works. Now, the second question was, are we coming out with any new Genesis items? And that one is one that I can say, yes, we are. We're going to be seeing that probably into next year. Now, how long does that take? Well, case in point, the SD70 ACUs that we have announced on its third run this month, that project started many, many years ago. In fact, the product developer that was responsible for that model took about 3 years just in drawings and prototype research alone. And that's working closely with both Norfolk Southern and Canadian Pacific. So just the drawings and the research alone can take years. And same can be said for the Dash 9s and the AC4400s. Once those 3 years are up, then we start communicating with the factory. Molds are finally cut and built, and then production on a lower level starts. And those small production runs are sent to the product developer where everything is checked. It's checked for scale accuracy, prototype dimensions, and even how it runs and how the decoders function. It's a long process, but we want to make sure that we're delivering models that you guys are happy to put on your layouts. So While I wish, and I'm sure our product developers would wish this too, that when you come up with a new idea for a locomotive, we could just snap our fingers and make it happen. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit longer, a lot of research, but hopefully that answers your question. All right. Well, I've taken enough of your time. You've got some modeling to do, and so do I. So until next time, I want everybody out there to be happy, be healthy, and be safe. And by the way, don't forget, Thursday, myself and Tony Cook are going to be live, and we're going to be talking about those SD70 ACUs. And thanks to you, our viewers, we're going to be sharing your pictures of the SD70 ACUs. I put a request out on Facebook last night asking for pictures of your best images of the SD70 ACUs, and man, did you guys deliver. I'm having a hard time paring down what we're going to have. But Thursday night, tune in at 7 o'clock for the Athearn Extra, and Tony and I are going to be talking about those and featuring your pictures. So tune in for that. Until I see you next time, be happy, be healthy, be safe, do some good modeling, and above all, high greens. Take care.